characteristic of moral wisdom, James says, is that it is gentle. The idea of gentleness is the idea of yielding to your inferiors. Gentleness is the idea of giving in to those people that you really don't have to give in to. You can pull rank on them, so to speak. You can exert your seniority, so to speak, but you choose not to. That's gentle wisdom. Jesus gives us an illustration of that in John chapter 18 when he was on trial before Annas. And when it comes to the situation that is there, Annas is the one who has the authority. Annas is the high priest. Jesus is the one who is on trial. And yet Jesus submits to Annas in a sense when he says, "What have I done wrong? Testify to me what I have done wrong." In a sense, Jesus is yielding to Annas, and he's being gentle with him, and he's saying, here's 3 years of public ministry. Tell me where I have sinned against the law of Moses. Gentleness. Parents, gentle wisdom is sometimes giving in to what your children want to do. Even if you think it is a bad idea, where do we get experience if it's not from making bad decisions? Now, I'm not talking about letting them make decisions that are harmful, making decisions that can be personally destructive. But you know, we can all retire quite well if we can live on what we have learned from our experiences. So parents, sometimes being gentle means standing back, controlling the parameters, but then letting our children make their own decisions. And then if it turns out to be a bad decision, we're there to help them clean up. Gentle wisdom. Another characteristic that James gives, number 4 of wisdom, is that it is reasonable. If gentleness is giving in or yielding to those who are inferior, reasonableness or giving in to reason refers to those who are above us. Being reasonable, being approachable, willing to learn from others, being open-minded. In John 8 and verse 29, Jesus says, "He who is not with me is against me." He says, "I always do the things that are pleasing to the Father." John 8:29. Jesus was reasonable. Jesus was open to what his Father, his superior in a sense, what he wanted Jesus to do. So Jesus was open to what the Father told him. And so we need to be open. We need to be reasonable. We need to be open to criticism from those who have our best interest at heart. Now, sometimes our first reaction is to get defensive. Our first reaction is to start defending ourselves against criticism. But that shuts the door on communication. If somebody comes to us, if our spouse says something to us that is in some way critical, rather than being defensive and saying, "But I do this," a reasonable wisdom would say, "Let me meditate on what you've said. Let me think about what you've said. Then let me pray about what you have said. And I'll go from there." You see, that doesn't mean I'm going to do. It means I'm going to think about it. Wisdom is reasonable. There was a man who wanted to learn how to play golf better. And so he went to the golf course and he paid a professional, quite handsomely, in fact, to give him some tips on how to play golf better. But every time he made a move and the professional tried to give him some tips, the man interrupted him and told the professional what he did wrong and what he needed to do to be better. Then after he interrupted the professional trying to give him some advice 3 or 4 times, the professional just shut up. And the man continued doing what he was doing, and the professional would nod his head every once in a while. Well, then finally, after the lesson was over, the student paid the professional, went on his way, happy and tickled for all the things that he thinks he learned. There was a bystander that was watching what was going on, and he asked the professional, he said, why'd you let the man get away with that? He didn't he said, well, I learned a long time ago that there's no sense in trying to persuade a man who is paying you when all he wants to hear is echo. Do we just want people to echo what we think of ourselves, or do we want our family and friends to help us to be better people, be better Christians? Wisdom that is from above is wisdom that is reasonable. Number 5, wisdom from above is full of mercy. 2 weeks ago, we looked at the account where Jesus healed the lepers. We talked about how Jesus healed the blind men in Matthew chapter 9. Being full of mercy means looking at people and seeing their needs and then doing what we can to help them with their needs. It means being responsive. Does my spouse have a problem that they're dealing with at work or in their extended family? Am I responsive to that? Am I responsive to people that I know at work who are going through a hard time? Maybe they need some financial help. Maybe they need a shoulder to cry on. Am I full of mercy? And related to that point, of course, is in James's word, wisdom from above is full of good fruits. Full of good fruits. It is doing good to others, like Jesus in Luke chapter 7. Jesus is full of good works. Peter tells us that in Acts chapter 10 when he's preaching to Cornelius. He said Jesus went about doing good and healing those who were oppressed by the devil. Luke chapter 7, Jesus healed, raised from the dead, the widow's son, her only child. She was a widow herself. Jesus raised her from the dead. Jesus was full of good works. And so when we know of someone, we're full of mercy, which is the attitude of our heart. But then good works or good fruits is what we do as a result. Did you hear about Joey, the 19-year-old manager of Dairy Queen in Minnesota? He was there serving a man, a regular customer, who was blind. The blind man took out his debit card, paid for his order with his debit card, but when he was putting it back in his wallet, a $20 bill fell on the floor. The woman standing behind the blind man immediately picked it up and held on to it. Joey thought that she was going to give it back. She never did. The blind man got his order, went over and sat down. Joey, the manager of Dairy Queen, told the woman, he said, I saw you pick up this man's $20 bill that fell on the floor. She said, no, that was mine. Maybe I just picked it up at the wrong time. He said, no, ma'am, I saw him drop it and I saw you pick it up. You need to give it back to him. She said, no, that's mine. He said, ma'am, I'm not going to serve you if you're going to treat my customers that way. They get into an argument there in the lobby of Dairy Queen. He finally said, you need to leave. I'm not going to serve you. So she leaves. And another customer who was there watching writes his superiors, I don't know, the home office or maybe the owner of that particular Dairy Queen, I'm not sure. But this other customer says, here's what Joey did. Joey took $20 out of his wallet, his own wallet, and he went over to the blind man and said, on behalf of Dairy Queen, I want to give you your $20 back. That is wisdom from above. That is wisdom that is full of good fruit. That's the kind of wisdom that we need to have. 2 more, James says here, James chapter 3. First of all, he says, wisdom that is from above is unwavering. Wisdom from above is unwavering. That is, it is stable. Jesus illustrated this unwavering wisdom, this impartial wisdom, for example, when he ate with the Pharisees in Luke chapter 7, and when he ate with the sinners in Matthew chapter 9. Jesus told the Pharisees in Luke chapter 7 that they needed to repent, and he told the sinners in Matthew chapter 9 that they needed to repent. Jesus was unwavering in his conviction relative to the Word of God and living it out. And a good example of that is in John chapter 8 when the woman caught in adultery is brought to Jesus. Jesus, first of all, was gentle. When he said, I don't condemn you. I'm not going to pick up stones and stone you to death. got pure wisdom. His wisdom is based on conviction of the Word of God. But Jesus is unwavering. And that's the kind of wisdom that we need to have. The person that you go to work with tomorrow is likely not the person that you worship with this morning. They may not even, they are not a child of God at all. They didn't even make no pretension of being a child of God. How about treating him or her the way you would treat him or her if they were a child of God? If you had a disagreement with your boss tomorrow, your boss is not a Christian, how would it affect how you respond to your boss if you knew your boss was a Christian? If your boss was a brother or sister in Christ, how would you treat them differently? You see, God sends the sun to shine on the evil and on the good. He sends the rain on the just and on the unjust. How do we treat people on Monday differently than how we treat one another here on Sunday? That's an unwavering wisdom. And then finally, the last characteristic that James gives us here is that wisdom, godly wisdom, wisdom from above, is without hypocrisy. Again, Jesus wanted all men to be saved. And so in Matthew chapter 8, there was a non-Jew, a centurion, who came to Jesus and wanted his servant that was on his deathbed healed. And during the course of his travel to Jesus, the servant died. The man said, I believe that you can heal him from a distance. You don't even have to come to my house. I'm not even worthy for you to come under my roof. Jesus marveled at his faith. And he gave him a blessing by healing his servant. Jesus was not a man in any way associated with hypocrisy. You know, the word hypocrisy described actors on in the Greek theater, on the Greek stage. They put an image in front of their face, change the image in front of their face. If they were to be happy, they put a happy image. If they were to be mad, they put a mad image. That's this word hypocrisy, putting on a face. Jesus never did that. He never put on a face. Jesus was interested in that man's soul, and Jesus healed his servant when he wasn't even a Jew. And so for us today, it is being people of integrity, living through the week what we profess on Sunday, putting into practice during the week what we have studied about perhaps on Sunday, the kind of Christian that we need to be, letting our behavior truly reflect our faith. So there you have it. Where is moral wisdom found? It comes from God. What does it look like? Well, it's pure, it's peaceable, it's gentle, it's reasonable, it's full of mercy, it's full of good fruit, it's impartial, and it's not hypocritical. That's the kind of wisdom we need to have this week. Let each of us look at ourselves this morning. Not point our finger at anybody else, look at ourselves. Are we living a life full of wisdom? In the meekness of wisdom. How do we respond to our spouse, to our children, to our employees, teachers at school? What does our wisdom look like? Let's work hard at our wisdom reflecting the nature of God. If you are here this morning and we can help you in any way, pray with you.